At approximately 5:30 p.m. on a Sunday, Rachel walked through the front door as if she didn't care. Without even looking at me, she threw her keys and purse on the nightstand and proceeded down the hallway in the direction of our bedroom. I don't even know whether she saw me sitting in the office, but it didn't really matter because since it's been so long that I'm essentially invisible to her, as if I no longer exist in her universe. I made the decision to I took her key, pulled my extra ones off her keying, and got up to follow her. Began rummaging through her purse, removing her wallet, taking out her phone, and emptying it of all cash. She kept all of her credit in my pocket in case I needed to take her driver's license for precaution. Rachel emerged from the office 15 minutes after she had slipped back in, pretending nothing had occurred. Suited up in her bedroom as though she was going to a party. She saw me then, but she only gave me a quick look as she "Don't wait up," she replied, swinging her purse over her shoulder and grabbing her keys. "I'm going out with some girls from work." Thought I should take that without question, but I couldn't stand it. "No, you're not going out with the females from Tom. How many times do I have to tell you that?" I shot back. She didn't even blink. She yelled at me like I was some ignorant idiot, but I shook my head and said, "You don't control me, I'll do whatever I want." When I gently said, "You can't go out with them because you're going to see your don't lie to me, boyfriend. I'm not that dumb." She simply stood there for a moment, glaring at me at the time, and occasionally she marched into the office with such audacity that it still surprises me. He squared up to me. "All right, Tom, stop the nonsense. You have two choices. I'll divorce you and make sure you're removed from my life, or you can salvage this mess of a marriage by giving me some space." "Life for good, then what will happen?" I simply grinned and said, "I'll go through door number 3. "There's no door number 3, Tom," she rolled her eyes. "You accept that I've moved on and found a real man?" Or I stood up, went up to her, and shoved her. "You bear the consequences." I yanked her off the wall, not firmly but enough to make my point. The wedding band and engagement ring are inches from her face. "Here's your door number." It's my front door, and when I snarled and looked her in the eyes for 3 rounds, "When you leave it, it will be the final time you do so without taking anything else with you, including cash. You'll be done," she said. "House, no more car, no more daughter." The wife leaves the house. For the first time, I'm apprehensive and mutter, "You're living in a fantasy, Tom. My employer is going to destroy you. I'll send the divorce papers to your workplace tomorrow. You'll regret it if you meddle with me." Pulled her in the direction of the front entrance, causing her heels to clank as she staggered and began screaming incoherently. Fear, after all these years of her being tough, it was an odd sight. When I eventually pushed back and got her outside, I had no idea how to react. Changed the locks earlier that day as I leaned against the door, catching my eye, and slammed the door and locked it behind her. I called my 19-year-old daughter Lily, who was gone, for the first time. "Hey sweetie, it's Dad at college. Things with your mother have reached. Hey, I wanted to let you know that she appears to be moving in with her boyfriend, and I have recordings of our most recent few talks and a lot of our previous disputes if you ever want to know the truth, because she's likely to lie things and hold me responsible for everything. Lily, you must realize that your mother has been unfaithful for some time. I don't you know this guy, but she's made her decision no matter how many times. I asked Lily to come home because, well, he's not someone you should be around. I'll explain more when you get home." Weekend so we could speak, and happily she consented. After I hung up, I called Anna again, this time to Tom, my neighbor across the street, has supported me during most of this chaos. "Anna, if that offer is still available." I didn't tell her all the information, just enough to let her know that I would like to take you up on it. "Could you stop over in about an hour?" I had met a young person, we got married fast, and it seemed like we had Lily before we realized I needed help. Okay at first, but as the years passed, Rach changed completely. The wife changes into a different person despite my efforts to maintain harmony and make her happy. She became more cruel, cunning, and domineering. In retrospect, I saw that I was going above and above for someone who didn't care about me, and I simply made it worse for myself by doing that, and now after everything fell apart, I discovered she was seeing a man called Gregory, or Greg as they call him, who had an aggressive streak. I experienced an odd sense of satisfaction when I finally realized that our marriage was doomed. Long before I learned of her affair, I had already been making plans for this. I've heard tales of men stealing half. I stole every last penny I could find when they left the money, not me. I changed the locks and made sure I had set up the situation for the rat's demise because there was cash in the house. She might have been risky, but I knew her well enough to turn it against her. In fact, I had been covertly getting ready for this for years. I always assumed that small device I carried was an MP3 player, but it was actually a recording device for our disagreements. Recording every hurtful thing she ever said to me because I knew that without evidence, no one would believe me. I wanted the world to know who Rach truly was, and I wanted Lily to see the true side of her mother.